we're going to go ahead and bring up our next speaker. We have a phenomenal list of speakers, but let's start off the show with Mr. Joshua Powell. Let's give a big round of applause.
All right. How many of y'all remember when you were in school and your teacher asked you what you wanted to be when you grew up? Raise your hands. All right. Nice. So, next question. How many of you succeeded in that plan? Okay. Okay, that's a better answer. All right. Well, I know that I didn't succeed in my original plan. But let's think about the idea of plan. Does a plan just come to fruition right away? Or does it take steps? There are times where we'll plan on something in life, but it might not work out, no matter the steps that we take or not. So, what's the point in it all? If you're just working on making this plan, making it work by yourself, what's going to happen? Well, when I was born, I remember, well, of course I don't remember anything, but my parents were told that I had two different kinds of disabilities. I had cerebral palsy, and I had a mild form of intellectual disability. So, throughout my life, I was starting to compare myself to others. If you think about it, this is similar to the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, who's thinking, if I had a brain, maybe I could do such and such. I could while away the hours. I could talk with the flowers, or even talk more with the rain. But I could, forgive me, my lyrics are escaping me. But I do have a brain, so even though lyrics escape me, that's okay. Let's imagine that you have two paths in life. You have one path that might be so clear that has listed everything that you're going to do in life, even until you die. That's kind of creepy, isn't it? I mean, you're standing there and you're looking at, let's say that you're looking at this screen, it has your name on it, and it's saying, okay, this is how he's going to be born, this is going to be all of his steps until he's 60 or 70, hopefully longer than that, and then he dies. What's the fun in that? What if you had a second path in life? And this path, I mean, on the screen with the first path, you're looking at this screen, and it has so many details about what you're going to do. The second path has your name, and it says, at some time in the long future, the end. You don't know what you're going to do. There's no steps that's dictated in what you're going to do in life. What's going on? This is the time where you start to make goals. So when you're making your goals in life, let's say I have my young friend here, and let's say that you're awesome in bowling, you're awesome in golf. Well, for one, I can't do golf. Are you good at golf, bud? No? Okay. Okay, well, we'll think about something else. That's all right. Anyway, let's say that he is good at golf. I'm not. Well, I might be saying, I despair. I'm not as good as golf as this young man, and I'm going to start comparing myself to him. Well, really, comparison doesn't do anything. It doesn't move you towards the next step in life. So instead of comparing, how do we create goals for ourselves? Well, when I was a teenager, I found out that even though I have disabilities, that I can still do things. There's a man who lives here in South Carolina who for a very long time, his name is Ron Hamilton, you might know him as Patch the Pirate, and he had a ministry in which he did music for young people. And it's not like he just came out with this idea out of the blue. What happened to him when he was in his 30s, he lost his eye to cancer. And instead of saying, I'm despairing, I'm so sad about what I've lost, I'm not going to do anything else. What he did is he took a pirate's patch and he became Patch the Pirate. That's the same thing that I can see myself doing with my own disabilities. When I was born, the doctors would have said that if he went to college, if he got to college, that he would have to work just as hard as everybody else who are making C's for him to make A's. They were forecasting how well I would do in school. How did they know that? Did they see the future? Did they have a third eye? Nah. They took some knowledge that they knew and they tried to build it into something else. Well, there's no way that they could have known that later on in life, in my 30s, I would graduate from a university with 2 degrees, and in my final semester, I would have straight A's. Thank you. In fact, I did not just graduate with degrees. I took one of my degrees, my last degree that I have, which is an education degree, and I am now an assistant special education teacher at Greer High School. So this is awesome. I have completed goals that I had set out. But another question is, did I do that all by myself? I don't think we can accomplish anything all by ourselves. I had other people to help me. Now, as I said before, when the doctors came up to my parents and they said that I would have such and such an issue, well, I do have such and such issues. But instead of focusing on those problems, and I'm going to coin a phrase from Pirates of the Caribbean, I didn't really stare at those, but I thought of them more as guidelines than actual rules. So yes, I took what the doctors had said, but I built it kind of into my own plans. I wasn't alone in what I did. I used the help from others. There's one person in my life who has helped me a lot, especially physically, mentally, and emotionally. And that was when I was practicing a Korean martial art called Kuksul Won. Now, this teacher, by his own volition, has said that what he did to me could be known as abuse. I remember multiple times he used to chase me around with weapons. He used to throw me. He even told me that he used to twist me in a pretzel a few times. But the big thing that came out of that is the fact that he helped me so much to be physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared for life. And it's not just him, it's so many others. It's my parents who encouraged me. It's my dad who did the martial art with me. In fact, my dad and I, when I was 13, he wasn't 13 at the same time, but that's probably a good thing. My dad and I, when I was 13 years old, we both, at the first test, got our first degree black belts. Thank you. Thank you. In life, I have learned that none of us are alone in completing our goals. We can all work together, not just completing the goal of someone who has disabilities, but for completing the goals of those with and without disabilities. I may be able to do something that you can't do. You may be able to do something that I can't do. But we can work together to complete the similar goals. So, what I'm going to ask you tonight is to consider the idea that, let's say, instead of working for someone with disabilities, consider working with them. Let's consider the idea of inclusion. This is something where we're not separate, we are together in what we're trying to accomplish. And once that happens, imagine how life can be. And as I said before, we might have a list of everything that we could do, or we might have a list that's not so detailed. So what can we do together to take the steps to be able to do something amazing together? So I ask you what you're thinking. Are you ready? Are you willing for a path that's full and plain? Making life even better, we can work all together, 'cause we all have got a brain. Thank you.